Talk about alerting each other to news. You alerted me to something. I mean, I could not have cared less.
Oh, I wasn't watching. I don't want this to be perceived as if I was glued to this game on the edge of my couch. I just checked a score, and I had to do a double take of, wait, am I reading this correctly?
You were reading it correctly. Maryland was up at the half on your Oregon Ducks men's basketball team, 33-12.
12. 1-2, 12.
Oregon played 20 minutes and made 3 shots and scored 12 points.
Yeah. You also want to know a fun anecdote of how much people care about Oregon basketball right now? Our friend Tyson Alger decided at a last whim to fly to Chicago and cover the game, which...
I want to talk about this. I love Tyson. He's a friend of this program. He's always welcome. How much money did he spend to go to a trip that he knew they weren't winning that game?
No, I think it was
terrible.
Well, look, this ended up being a story. They were so bad that it almost ended up being a story.
Maybe it worked out for him.
Do you know how many people were in the press room after the game?
I know he was the only one to ask a question.
He was the only one.
There was only one.
He was the only one there.
I mean, can you fault any entity?
He sent out a tweet and he sat down. And he was like, they asked him when he sat down, like, "Hey, can you ask a lot of questions, please?" And he was like,
asked him to ask a lot of questions.
I mean, you don't want a press conference to go, what if you only ask one question? And it's over 1 minute in.
But Altman hates those.
I know he does. But
you would think that guy would be like, yo, you got 2 questions, just ask him quick. Let's get the hell out of here.
We were down 33-12 at halftime. Hey, we scored 48 in the second half, though. Huh?
Came back.
Look at that. We're a turnaround team. Second half, back 9 player.
Well, I noticed that local scribes were down for the Oregon State WCC.
Yeah.
Is that just because it's got to be the tinkle
angle, the tinkle
right?
angle is getting fired. There's zero hope in anything happening related to Oregon men's basketball.
Yeah.
They were one of the worst in the Big Ten this year. They lost their first game. They're not going to the tournament. They were 5-15 in conference play.
Look, I've stated pretty clearly, that guy got you to a Final Four. He's the greatest coach in your program's history.
Yes, he is.
You should let him make his decision. I think he has already come out and said he wants to come back. That's a game.
And Oregon, I think, has signaled the same thing,
yeah,
too.
And
it's nothing's going to happen here, but we can have the conversation.
Well, that's a game that if I'm the athletic director, I have to have a real honest heart-to-heart with the boosters, the donors, and say, this is what it's been the last 3-4 years. This is how it ended this year. How are we feeling?
Yeah.
And I don't even know if you tell Dana Altman what to do or how to do it, but something has got to change because I know they made the tournament last year and we've kind of defended him in that sense.
Yeah, last 2 years they won their first game and then lost heartbreaking games in the second round, but they were at least a tournament team.
But as people pointed out, the couple years before that didn't make it, and winning one game and then being eliminated quickly doesn't really make you much of a contender.
No.
I think anything should be up in the air right now. I think you should be able to have some real honest, open conversations of how are you going to fix this.
Yeah.
You don't appear to be anywhere close to competing or contention within that conference. He doesn't like the 5-star kid. Not that he won't take him. He clearly will.
He's changing his stance a little bit because he's going after they're big game hunting a little bit more in recruiting, and I don't know if that's an NIL budget thing. Who's the kid up in Seattle that's the number 1 player in the country? Do you know his name? Remember his name?
The kid at Rainier
Steinbach?
Beach?
Yeah, Rainier Beach.
Oh, Stokes,
yeah. So I don't know if he signed, but Oregon.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about UW.
No. Sorry, yeah. The high school, the high school kid.
The
So he's
Rainier Beach kid,
number 1 kid in the country. I don't know if he's committed yet. I don't follow basketball recruiting that closely, but I know Oregon has been in the mix on him. I don't know if that's just a regional thing, a Nike thing, or what. Maybe they're spending more money in NIL.
Yeah.
There's a blend of this where
I think that's a big mistake. I'm going to give you a take.
Totally fair.
I think him going after 5 stars has proved to not be.
None of them have really done much.
I think he's just better served to find the slightly older portal kids.
Yeah.
And I know you could say, well, they portaled some of this team. How that works,
A lot
Sprague.
of this team was portaled, yeah.
Right. But they're going to have to do it again. It's
Yes,
just
they
the
will.
reality of the beast.
Every offseason.
If you can keep Shellstad, you got a point guard locked down.
Biddle's gone.
I think he's better served that way to get the older player that's looking to improve his resume versus the 5-star kid who might come in and say, I don't really care about this. You got maybe the number 1 pick in the NBA draft this year is playing at one of the premier programs to ever exist, and he's like, got kind of a side ache, coach. I'm going to sit out.
My tummy hurts. I'm not playing tonight.
It's become a bit of a storyline. Remember, didn't Bol sit out a couple games? He was out for a while there.
He got hurt, if I remember correctly. I think he got hurt relatively early.
I just feel like the 5-star thing has not worked for him. So I don't think you're going to take the best kid in college, in high school basketball if you can get him.
If you can, yeah. It's just a question of, I think the tough part with this conversation is everything needs to be on the table. This was a disastrous year. This is an Ernie Kent type of season. And it's fair to hold him accountable for how the hell did it get to this place? You don't have a general manager. You're in charge of putting the roster together.
That's a problem in itself,
and like,
too.
how did you allow it to get there?
Yeah.
While simultaneously saying what you've done the last 15 years is the best run that we've ever seen in the history of Oregon basketball. And so both those things can be true simultaneously. I think I've reached the point where Oregon is clearly, and when you dive through something, we did this segment earlier, or maybe it was late last week, I can't remember, on the finances of what they're spending and how much each program is making, because somebody put the whole graph out of what every program's bringing in and spending. And they don't invest a ton of money in basketball. They just don't.
It doesn't make them a lot of money.
No, they've made the decision of what makes us money, what generates revenue. Football. What are we going to spend all of our resources on? Football. Like, there's this idea that Oregon can go get anybody they want in basketball and recruiting because it's Oregon and it's Nike and you have Phil Knight. And that's just not the case. They don't put a ton of money and effort into this thing. And so I'll be curious if a new head coach would change that. There's certainly no fan investment in the program right now, and the games don't have any atmosphere, and that's been the case even at times when they've been successful, and that's almost a whole different conversation. I have tried to blend the two takes together because I used to laugh at the get rid of Altman crowd, but that was in the moment where he was going to the tournament more often than not and winning 20-plus games every year. The tune has changed this year. Like, this was a disastrous season from start to finish. We had somebody try and argue what were they when Shellstad played, and I went and looked, and they were a 500 team even when Shellstad was in the lineup. And so it wasn't like, hey, they were great, and then guys got hurt, and then they fell off. They weren't great to begin with.
They were never going to be
and
a
then they got
team,
worse. And this was supposed to be a year where you returned your two best players. Like, this was a year you went in with optimism from a tournament team last year, and you got Biddle and Shellstad back. I have reached the in-between ground of appreciative of 15 years. You don't want to fire a guy after one bad season because that's probably unfair. And I have turned my attention to next year and say, that's it. Is it another year like this? Because if it is, there is no excuse to keep him around and the game has passed him by, and this is not going to end well. If he can right the ship and say, hey, look, we messed up here, here, and here. We're going to fix it in the offseason, and we win 23 games next year, and we're a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, by all means, continue to let this thing go. But it has certainly entered hot seat conversation for me based on how disastrous this year was.
This will be 3 of the last 5 years of them not making the tournament. By the way, I looked it up. Ernie Kent only lost less than 12 games, or only won less than 12 one time.
Yeah. I think this is the exact record Kent had in the year he was fired, if I'm not wrong. 2009, I think he was 12-20.
He was 16-16.
Okay, 16-16.
The year before that, he was 8-23. That was his low water mark, and then he came back for the dud year, 16-16.
And they're like, all right, get out of here.
Before that, he had 14 wins and 13 wins. He's never. I mean, he only had 1 year below 12, and that was his second to last year. So,
yeah.
I'd say most Duck fans are like, yeah, good. I'm glad this is done. I got to stop following this.
Most Duck fans weren't following and
I
didn't
agree
even know
with
the
that.
game was happening
12
yesterday.
points with 3 made field goals in the first half.
How do you make 3
so
shots?
wildly bad.
You're a college basketball team. You made 3 field goals in the first half of the game.
That's so bad.
Apathy kicks in. It's not good.